Hey, welcome back to Fishing Tackle channel. I just wanted to share with you guys all the different types of slow jigs. I think I've done sort of the collections that I had, but I wanted to kind of highlight each one of them, the types that are available out there, so you guys are aware and not just limit yourself to well-known jigs like Nomad, just because that's all you're familiar with from Bass Pro or somewhere else when you're asking for slow jigs. Okay, so let's start with, I mean, Nomad, right? This is the well-known jig because of the marketing through YouTube and just having it all out there. I think it's an Australian company, don't quote me on that. And it's been one of the first earlier jigs that's been introduced in the US. So I think that's why they're the most popular one and well-known one. But here's almost identical type of jig, which is not Dr. Uncle Mo's UMT Uncle Mo's tackle. This one is actually a small US owned slow jig tackle shop, small business. So if you live in New Jersey, New York, you could probably search for it, and I don't know if you could actually go pick it up. But I bought a lot on Amazon, so they have a website as well as um, they sell a collection of slow jigs in the Amazon.com as well. So it's very similar. I had a video comparing these two. Only difference is this will cost you upwards to anywhere $10 to $16. While this one, if you buy in bulk of 10, could cost you as low as, I think when I bought it, it was about $3, $2.99, $3.99 or so. And when I fish with them, this basically outfish this one. So I don't think it makes a difference. Maybe it's the variation of the color, but I prefer this over Nomad. Uncle Mo also has these tuna jigs too, but you could definitely use this. I use them for black sea bass when 80 grams isn't enough, when the water current isn't really favorable. When I need something heavier, I jump into this. This is definitely a different action because unlike these, one side is a little bit round, the other side is flat. This one is actually all around round. So that most definitely would give a different action. And as you can see, it looks similar, but the style is actually the little prints, the details are different. If you're wondering what these are, I should make another video about this. These are what I've had, little tubes, and I had plastics and all kinds of different things to keep my hooks from poking me or getting caught. The best one I found out were when you order furnitures or something fragile on Amazon or any other website, they come with these little foams or styrofoams, right? I just cut them in two little square pieces and then put them in the hook so the hook doesn't get damaged because they're really soft and it's easily reusable. Put in there just like that. That's what I've been doing. Very light as well, and if I lose it, I lose it. By these little tube things that come with it, it's really hard to take out. Well, not this one, but and then you lose it easily. So I kind of switched it up to these ones because it just comes out easily and doesn't damage my hook. Here's a Shimano. I think this is called Shimmer. It's a little bit of a longer one. I like the prints. When I bought this, these were on sale for like $3.99 or $4.50 or something like that. I bought a bulk of it. Now, like you won't be able to get this, especially with tariff. You're gonna be paying a lot more for this. Here's one from Gotur. Oh, speaking of, here's another Gotur jig that is similar to the Nomad. So these are, you would call it, the model that they labeled this is a streaker. This one is, I don't think there's any special model for it, but it has a little groove. If these are flat on the other side, the bottom, these have a little bit of a groove, so it probably gives a different action. Anyways, moving on. Let's move this up here. Here's another Gotur, whatever you call it. It's very flat. Here. Comes with 2 hooks. Oh, nice eye. Has this little shiny effect. What else do I have? This one is from Captain J. I've caught a lot of fish with this one. A lot of sea bass. Nice sea bass. It's really fun to slow jig with this one. And then when the water's pretty rough, this one works well. It cuts through it. Those are things that you need to consider. Some of the jigs will, like butterfly jigs, will like go down like this. Some of them will flutter and go down, and then some of them will cut through and go straight down. So if you really want to know how it looks when you drop it, just test them out. When the captain gets ready to anchor, just drop this on the surface of the water, and then just see how it flutters down as you drop them. Something similar, but as you can see, this is more flat and curved. This one is more angled, like cut angled. So there's no smooth side, unlike these guys are smooth. These are all smooth, somewhat. This one is a little bit curved, right? Curved down and in different ways. This one is very cut. So, from my experience, this is more of it's like a jackknife jig. If I'm getting it wrong, I'm not a jig expert. I just use them. I try different ones out to see what works on certain days. So, though, like there are certain ways that on YouTube how you're supposed to jig, but ultimately it's all case by case. You just gotta know the type of fish you're jigging for, and like how deep the water is, what kind of how much wind there is, what the whole weather condition and things like that. So there are some basic fundamentals of slow pitch jigs online, but it's very different depending on what kind of fish it is too, right? There are fish that stays on the bottom, fish that are up and bottom, high in the air, fish that are more predatory, so they'll come and chase after it. Some of them just wait for it to come to them. So it's all case by case, and don't count so much on you. I guess when you start out, you could watch YouTube and see how people are recommending to jig, but I would say I've seen people that just drop it and then just don't do anything, almost like you're fishing with a live bait or a fresh bait, and it will just bite on it. So you don't necessarily have to jig up and down, just like flounder fishing, right? There are people that would use bucktails and keep jigging up and down, and that works a lot. But there I've seen regulars that just lightly touch the bottom and lift it up a little bit and just stay there and let the drifting do its thing, and then they limit out on flounders too. So yeah, this one is called for sure a pencil jig. So I think this drops pretty fast. So if you're looking for, some of them will drop very slowly, which does help with the effect. Some of them drop much faster, so you gotta just play with them depending on how fast you lift them and or how gently you slowly you lift them and down, it's going to give a different effect. It's kind of, it's, this for some reason, I've always, with the pencil jig types, I've never gotten a big fish. The small fish definitely reacts to it. Here's a big fat butterfly jig. So if you want something that's really going, if you want your jigs to go down a lot slower, this one is it. This one will get much more current. So when you lift them up and drop them, it'll flutter a lot more. They call it a butterfly jigs because it flutters so much like a butterfly. These work really well too. I like how it's curved right here. Here's a smaller butterfly. That one was, how many ounces is that? This one is 3.5 ounce. The other one's like a 5-6 ounce. $150 I think this is one of the more common jigs that you'll see. These are lighter jigs. Uncle Mo's tackle, 60 grams. This works best in the shallow water. I think most deep sea fishing, if you go, what I've learned is, I would say 1 feet per gram is the equivalent. So 60 would say, I would say if you're fishing no more than 60-70 feet of water, this will work. Anything above that, if you're at like 80 to 100 or more feet of water that you're deep, if that's how deep you're fishing, you're going to have difficulty fishing with this one. You'll barely feel it. But then again, there's a lot of people I know, they'll cast this really far. If you're using very light gear, especially like spinning reel versus vice, like a bait cast, this is definitely going to work for you. So sometimes a lot of jigging, you want to go light as well, light as possible, just because, again, this is my opinion. If it's too heavy, it's just going to be like a sinker, heavy sinker, and it'll just drop to the bottom real quick. So it works best if there's strong water current, then it'll give some action to heavier jigs. But lighter the jig, more action it'll give to attract fish. I mean, that's based on my opinion. So like if you got 100 feet of water, or 150 feet of water, you want to use 150 grams and that'll be perfect. But if it's like 60 feet of water and you use this is just going to drop like a dead weight. So that's something to consider when you're fishing. The grams per feet is what you should think about. And then that's just approximate. And it would, again, if it's 60 gram, I mean, like 50 feet of water, and if you're drifting and not anchored, and if there's a strong current, obviously 60 grams is not going to work. You want to get it up high into the 80 or 120 grams. So that's why I say it's a case by case. So keep that in mind when you're slow jigging. This one's been really good. This one worked best when I have bait like a clam or a squid strip on here, and for some reason this does get their attention. It doesn't have enough action, I don't think, these chrome ones. But with the bait, every time I dropped, I caught a fish with this one. So this one, I always use it for bait. Everything else, I think you could use it without a bait and it'll get plenty of action. Here's another chrome one. Very cool. Love these little grooves, the details that they put in. This is from Captain J. The hooks are really nice. And you can't see it, but this is a little bit more rounder on top and then flatter on the bottom. But still, there's a little bit of a groove right here, which makes it those little details helps the jig to give these little action of a bait fish to trap big fish. Here's our glow in the dark. So that's another key thing. There are jigs that are just, you know, dead weight without any special capability. But some of these, or even I think Shimano, and some of them, whether it's on the hook, see right here, these are glow in the dark right here. So those are things to consider too. If you're wondering why some people catch more fish, those little details, the cracks right here, these are all in between. Those are all glow in the dark. So let me see, get some sun in here. Can't really see it, but it'll glow in the dark if it's the water's muddier or if it's deeper for the fish to not able to see it. These glow in the dark will definitely make a difference when you're fishing. Here are little eyes. And again, you'll never know. I mean, you could get these, something very similar, these two chromes, and for some reason, this catches more fish than this. So the fish doesn't know. They don't specifically go for, oh, nomad, that's what I'm used to, and they'll bite it. You never know. You just gotta try different ones. That's why I always carry different jigs to try them out, to make sure that I'm not missing anything. Here's a little cool jig. I got a huge sea bass with this. So that's another thing. Like some of these jigs, I've always get short, small sea bass with some of them. Like this one, I said it before. I've caught everything from ling to flounder, multiple flounders, to of course sea bass, a big keeper sea bass, and porgy, as well as bluefish. And then same for this. I caught a huge, I think almost like my PB black sea bass with this one. And I think I caught a flounder with this one. But some of them, I've only caught sea bass with them. So you just got to try different things. And some jigs work better on, I mean, it gets more attention from a variety of fish. By some fish, some jigs will only attract certain type of fish. Here's another chrome jig that comes with the hook. And again, here, assist hook. I know a lot of them come with assist hooks, but I've seen a lot of people use swivel. Different ways of using the hooks to catch fish. So assist hooks could be very expensive. It could get very expensive. So those are things to consider. Just using a ring and a swivel to put a hook on it, and that'll work. I mean, I don't think it makes a huge difference. You'll get more bycatch with this one, like on the side, it'll foul hook some of the fish better with this versus this one. This would require it to actually bite on it. So I think that's the only difference. This will get more likely of getting a foul hook versus this type of swivel. And to be honest, I think when you have a swivel, it's harder for you to lose the fish, because when the fish is like fighting and turning and spinning as you bring him up, the swivel pretty much does a job of spinning with it. So there's no real resistance versus, as you know, a lot of slow jigging fishermen have experienced this. You get the biggest fish, and halfway up, you lose it. And what that is, you know, it's spinning or turning, and then there's some resistance to it here at some point, right? See, as it turns like this. Sometimes when you bring him up, you'll see your assist hook turn this much, and then it gets a resistance and the hook just comes off. So those are something to consider. That's why I've started putting a lot of swivels on my hooks to prevent that from happening. So if you are jigging and you constantly have issues losing fish halfway up, one, you're not hooking it, so you need to hook it and keep attention. And two, if you are doing everything right and you're losing it, your fish is one, you got really bad assist hook, so change your hook. Two, you want to put a swivel to ensure that once you hook it, it's not going to get any resistance, and then the fish doesn't have any chance to get away, unhook itself. So here's a wingfall, a little bit fatter but skinny, like a little groove, and I love how it's the scales, the little scales, little eyes, little dots, all these details. Shimano does it so well. Versus Nomad right here. I don't know, which one do you guys think works best? To be honest, this is shimmer. It'll more flutter like this versus this. It has a little groove, so I would imagine it'll flutter like this at the same time. It'll just shake all different ways. But I've seen people use this a lot and catch a lot. I've caught plenty of sea bass with this. I haven't really used this. I can't wait to use this one this year. But yeah, they're the flat ones. They're the little fatter ones with the grooves. But it's a little bit different. Almost like a butterfly, right? They don't call this I think they call this like a buffalo jig. They call this a butterfly jig. Looks almost the same. Only difference is there's a groove on the top. It's not completely flat. This one is completely flat. And then on the other side, the groove goes all the way through from top to bottom. This one is from bottom and then it goes flat right here. So I guess that's the little details, the difference in details. What else do we have? We got this huge, the longest jackknife. I've caught sea bass with this too. So again, when the water gets deep and there's quite a bit of strong current and some drifting, I'll bust these out. These are 200 grams, the heavier one and flatter one. This will drop straight in the bottom. It works very well. So that's something you want to have, something heavier and longer if possible. I feel like it cuts through the water when again, if you cast this, most likely it's going to land and then go down like this. It'll flutter down. So what I do is if I want my jigs to drop faster to the bottom, I'll drop it right in front of me. I'll let it drop straight down like this, in this fashion. I think a lot of people, they make a mistake and then they take something super light, like a 60 gram, and if they don't cast it far enough. So a lot of deckhands and captains that know what they're doing, or regulars, they'll cast it far enough that even if it flutters down, it's away from the boat and other lines. But if you drop something like this straight down, because it's so light, it's going to, or if you don't cast far enough, it's so light, it's just going to tangle up with everybody. So even with this heavy one, I drop it straight down, knowing that it's going to get down to the bottom, even if there's strong water current or the boat is drifting, it's not going to get tangled with other people. And another thing is when you're jigging, if you want them to present well, like how it's supposed to, avoid putting bait on it. So I do it I'm guilty of putting baits on my hook, and then also putting an extra hook. I would, for instance, this comes with one hook. So the best way to use this is the way they're selling it. They're supposed to. So when they sell these jigs, they designed it with one hook in mind. So this is how you want to, with the hook on the top, not on the bottom, or multiple hooks. this is how you want to fish. This is another long but a light one. Pretty cool. Very pretty. And there's a heavy one, almost like a real fish. Comes with 2 hooks. Very cool. And then I put a little swivel right here. This one has a little battery. Once it touches the water, it starts blinking with red lights and different lights to attract fish. But look at that. How cool is that? The design, the details. Looks like a real fish. Here's another Nomad. This one works better with casting right here. And this one flutters. This one will not go down like this, but rather it'll go straight down, but it'll flutter in this fashion. Like that. Pretty cool. Here's another flat glow in the dark right here. Very cool. Here's another Nomad, I think, but this one, both sides very smooth and round. What do I have left? These are like for stripers, but again, this will work well with sea bass as well as other fish. It's a chrome jig. And yeah, you'll catch this. You'll catch whether it's porgy. I think the hook is small enough. Porgy, definitely sea bass. Just because it's intended for striper doesn't mean that only stripers bite this. So just having this, who knows, you could catch striper if it's a shallow water. But for jigging, yeah, don't let other people tell you how these work. You could always carry these. It's a 3 ounce, and then slow pitch jig with this. That's a nice groove. Here's one from California. So before slow pitch jigs, like all these guys came along, this was in California. So this is normally used to cast out and then either let it drop like a slow pitch jig for like whether it's tuna or most of the time like barracuda or yellowtail to bite on it. But this is an old school stuff. They still sell it and people buy it. Personally, I would recommend these. These are the future. This is like old school. If it works, it works. But I feel like this would work much better. People argue this isn't a slow pitch jig, but that's the same concept. Everything is pretty similar. This caught a lot of fish for me. It has a glow in the dark. For some reason, this was attracting a lot of sea bass. They were very aggressive, and I caught quite a bit. Shimano. They call it butterfly jig. They call this butterfly jig for some reason. And then I got some of these little shallower water, these squid jigs. It's not a real slow pitch jig, but so much more. And this is an octopus jig. It's not for catching octopus. They just call it because it looks like an octopus. So like a squid or octopus. Reminds me of the Thai rubber fishing. It's very similar. Like I said, this is going to be the future. I think this will be the next hot thing. Almost like a looks almost like a bucktail. So you would say this is like an Asian version of bucktail. They do use smaller hooks. Very cool. Anyways, those are all the jigs that I have. Different types of jigs. If you have any questions, leave a comment. If you want to know more about certain jig, let me know. I'll be happy to do another video. And again, go buy some jigs. Go buy some of these slow pitch jigs and play with them when you go fishing. You'll really enjoy it, especially when they're this summer. I'm going to use this a lot more because we all know if it's anything like last summer for black sea bass fishing, the fresh bait, fresh or live bait's not going to work for some reason. A lot of fish were very inactive. These became popular in Japan, especially for those kind of occasion, because they've noticed, you know, a lot of the fish weren't biting, so they decided to use this, and it creates some kind of a predatory, almost like bass fishing, right? Sometimes you have to kind of provoke it if it's not hungry, if it's not, especially like winter or colder time, if it doesn't want to bite, and if they're lethargic, you need to kind of provoke it with these kind of crew that drive their instinct to get them to bite, and it definitely does. So yeah, if you just make sure to get some of these to use it for summer fishing, fall fishing, it's incredible. You drop it, you're gonna get a bite. But talk to you guys later. This was a long video.